Is Trump calling for negative interest rates? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of Heise Says. I've got my morning stein of coffee here and I thought we would have a look at this article about Donald Trump calling for negative interest rates. Now, negative interest rates are this wonderful phenomenon that modern monetary theorists are using to help stimulate economic growth and to encourage people to spend money. So let's have a look. Donald Trump urges Fed boneheads to cut interest rates to negative, the ASX to rise, apparently. And this is by David Chow from the ABC. So let's look at the market snapshot for this morning. ASX up 0.4. The Aussie dollar is at 68 cents. Dow Jones is up 0.3. And FTSE is up 1. Crude is down 2.2. So the Australian dollar is steady at 68.6 US cents. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump was active on social media overnight and in a series of tweets urged the boneheads at the Federal Reserve to slash interest rates into negative territory. Now, there is an index, and I'll find it, I'll do a video on it, where Trump's tweets can affect the market significantly. And it's just the world we're living in now, I guess. Twitter has finally found a use. It's not just social justice warriors throwing rubbish at each other and pointless political banter. It's affecting the market. What an age we live in. So, it represents a backflip from Mr. Trump, as he previously told reporters at the White House last month that he did not want to see negative rates in the United States. The Federal Reserve should get our interest rates down to zero or less, and we should then start to refinance our debt, Mr. Trump posted on Twitter. What does that tell you about the state of the US economy? What does that tell you about the state of their economy? If he's suggesting moves like this, I think it's there's concern of a US recession spilling over to affecting Australia. Maybe there's some weight to that. Maybe there's some weight to that. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Does this inspire you with confidence, regardless of your position on Trump? The fact that he's calling for this. Interest could be brought way down, while at the same time substantially lengthening the term. We have the great currency, power, and balance sheet. The US should always be paying the lowest rate. No inflation. So, it is only the naivety of the Fed chairman, Jay Powell, and the Federal Reserve that doesn't allow us to do what other countries are already doing. I mean, it's interesting. One just thing to note is the style of Trump's tweets. They're written in a particular way using language that anyone can understand so he can reach a broad audience. So he knows what he's doing with regards to persuasion. You may think he's a buffoon in some regards, but, he's reaching his demo. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that we are missing because of boneheads. Negative interest rates are usually a last resort, used reluctantly by central banks to battle weak economic growth, but would punish savers who are relying on interest from their bank deposits. So we'll have a look here at countries which currently have negative interest rates. Switzerland, negative 0.75. Denmark, negative 0.65. Now, Denmark, there was recently an article where a gentleman actually got paid for having a home loan. He got paid for having a home loan. And his parents suggest that he puts it up on the wall and frames it. I mean, well, you want to, because it just seems crazy. It really does, doesn't it? It just shows you we're in this fiat monetary system where it fundamentally doesn't have any real wealth. They can create it out of nothing. They can generate it out of nothing. They can manipulate it. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be paying someone, if someone borrowed some gold off you and they had to make payments in gold every month, you wouldn't be paying them gold for the privilege of them borrowing gold off you, would you? Not in a million years. That is just utterly insane. So it shows you, or it's telling me the system's broken. We've reached a point where it's fundamentally broken, and they're just trying to stretch it out a little bit longer. It doesn't seem to make sense. Oh, and we've also got, Sweden and Japan. Japan's had it forever, haven't they? They've had it negative forever. Eurozone at 0. There we go. Canada, New Zealand. Who's the highest? I think Turkey's up there. Oh, Argentina, 60%. Mozambique. Good old, reliable Mozambique at 21.75%. Argentina didn't 60%. Well, there you go. There you go. Here's the trick, guys. Here's the trick. Borrow some money in Denmark, get paid in it, then take it over to Argentina and invest it there to get 60% return, and then flip it over. What do you reckon? Not financial advice. Not financial advice. How many people are doing that, you wonder? You wonder. Or maybe there's an element of sovereign risk in some of these countries with super high interest rates. Maybe. So back to the article. Furthermore, US government debt has ballooned to US 22 trillion under Mr. Trump's presidency. The US president also did not address the risks or financial market tension that central banks in Europe and Japan have confronted as a result of their negative rate policy, or the larger issues that negative rates have not secured higher growth or higher inflation for those economies. Because, well, fundamentally, just the psychological impact of your nation having to resort to negative rates does not scream confidence, does it? Mr. Trump's comments preceded a week in which the world's major central banks are expected to lower rates or introduce stimulus measures in what is widely seen as a move to protect the global economy against risk, partly arising from its trade war with China. The European Central Bank is expected to cut rates by 10 basis points to negative 0.5% at 10:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time tonight. Well, there you go. That's one to keep a track on, people. Analysts are also predicting the Fed will cut rates by 0.2 percentage points next week. However, that is unlikely to satisfy Mr. Trump, as the US Central Bank would also need to slash rates aggressively by more than 2 percentage points to hit negative territory. While perhaps appropriate in recessionary conditions, zero or negative rates in a growing economy with record low unemployment may ultimately create the next financial crisis, said Mark Zalskini, chief investment strategist at Janet Montgomery Scott. This is because people are taking on more risk than they would otherwise because money is even cheaper. Well, maybe some of those precious metal investments aren't looking too bad, or the reason why so much money is moving into the bond market is starting to all fall into place, isn't it? So China's olive branch boosts Wall Street. Apple's share price jumped 3.2%, taking its market value back above $1 trillion. It comes a day after Apple launched a new range of iPhones and its TV streaming service to compete directly with Netflix. Other tech companies also enjoyed solid gains, including Facebook and Google's parent Alphabet. This helped push the Nasdaq index 1.1% higher, while the benchmark S&P 500 rose 0.7%. The Dow Jones index jumped 227 points, or 0.9%. Market sentiment was also boosted by China's announcement that it would exempt 16 US products from tariffs. It was a move viewed by many investors as a show of good faith just days after a mid-level negotiations aimed at resolving the long-running trade war, which has rattled markets and bruised world economies. The trade hopes also aided in pushing European shares to close at a 6-week high, with London's FTSE jumping 1% and German DAX up 0.7%. Spot price of gold has lifted 0.7% to $1,496 an ounce. Meanwhile, oil prices tumbled on reports that Mr. Trump weighed easing sanctions on Iran to help secure a meeting with Iranian President Hassan Rouhani later this month. If Iran sanctions were to ease, it could boost crude supply at a time of lingering worries about global energy demand, and crude dropped 2.2% to $61 a barrel. So, what do you think, guys? What do you think? Even alluding to interest rates at zero or negative, when they've got over 2% to drop down. This isn't like Australia where we're sitting at 1% or below. They've got a little bit of room to move more than us. So he knows what's happening. He obviously knows where the economy's heading, what trouble they're in. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think this is a sign that US recession is heading our way? What do you think the effects will be on Australia? What are you doing to prepare? Like, share and subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.